Welcome to another educational video for CSCI 1300. My name is Ioana Fleming, and today we're going to talk about the while loop. But before we talk about the while loop, I want to ask you if you remember, if anyone remembers, the myth of Sisyphus. Well, if you don't remember, I can remind you. In Greek mythology, Sisyphus was a king, the king of Ephyra, known today as Corinth, and according to Wikipedia, he was punished for his self-aggrandizing craftiness and deceitfulness by being forced to roll an immensely large stone up a hill. Every time he gets to the top, the stone would roll down, forcing him to repeat this action of rolling up the stone up the hill for eternity. So what Sisyphus is doing is repeating the same action over and over again. In programming, this is called a loop. And since his chore actually goes on and on, over and over again for eternity, his loop is actually an infinite loop. But more on infinite loops a little bit later. Well, today, let's attempt to save Sisyphus because I think he has served his punishment enough and it's high time someone saved him from his endless task. Well, how should we save him? Well, I'm thinking we need to tell him when to stop. So first, let's try to save him with a while loop. A while loop allows us to repeat a block of statement, something like this, whatever we would put in here, every time a condition remains true. So if we look at the syntax, we'll have the word while, we'll have the condition in parentheses, something that needs to evaluate to true or false, and then in here the block of statements to be executed. As long as the condition remains true, the block of statements will execute again and again and again. So let's see how that goes. So we have maybe some code here before the while loop. This is executed first. Then we arrive at the while loop statement. The condition is evaluated. If the condition is true, the block of statements is executed. Then we go back here on line 8. We evaluate the condition again. If it's true, we do the block of statement. We go at 8 again. We evaluate the condition and so on. At the point when we arrive at line 8 and the condition becomes false, the loop ends. There's no more repetition of the block of statements. And from 8, we come back with what is over here, basically after the loop. We can also take a look at the flowchart, which basically shows the same thing. We have some code here before the while loop. When we arrive at the while loop, we evaluate the condition. If the condition is true, we're going to say we execute the loop body, and then we go back up here and evaluate the condition again. If it's true, we do the loop body, and we keep going like this until at some point the condition is false. When the condition is false, we arrive down this path and follow with whatever is after the loop body. Another thing that I want you to notice is that in many ways it seems similar to an if statement, right? Before we had if condition, execute this, right? The difference now is that if the condition is true, because we still use in English, we say if the condition is true, the block of statement is executed and then we go and check the condition again. Now, let's come back to our task. How do we save Sisyphus? Let's come up with a story. Let's come up with a relatively quick save for Sisyphus. Let's say he's going to continue rolling the stone up while it's still September. So let's write something like this. While it's still September, I know it's still September for a while, but while it's still September, then Sisyphus is going to roll the stone up. Something is here that is going to make him roll the stone up, right? So that's the condition. Let me just do like this so that it still shows the colors. And then basically, while it's still September, he's going to keep rolling the stone up. So when will his chore end? Well, the loop the chore will end when it becomes October. So how do we know that it has become October? Well, let's try to keep track of the date. Let's say we are going to create like an integer for the month and another integer for the day of the month. Okay, something like that. And then while the month is September, so it's 9, right? He's going to keep rolling the stone up. Once the month becomes October, so when the month will be 10, then he will stop rolling the stone up. So we still don't have quite enough information, right? So first off, we need to give a value to the variable month. So because we are in September, let's say month is 9 and day of the month is 15, right? So when we arrive at line 9, the condition month is 9, the value of month is 9 is true. So then Sisyphus will roll the stone up, but we need to do something here. We need to do something in the loop to change something. Something needs to change. Otherwise, the month will still stay 9 and Sisyphus will keep rolling the stone up. So I think what we need to do is to somehow advance the date. Just going to call it like this. Advance the date. So let's say every time he rolls the stone up, we increase the day of the month. Day of the month plus plus. Here it is. We increase it by 1. So he basically does 1 roll up per day. Every time he gets up, the day of the month increasing. Is this enough to at some point break our loop and make this month become October? Well, not really, because nothing inside the while loop is changing the value of this variable. That's one of the things you always want to be careful with when we design a while loop. Something inside the while loop needs to eventually change this condition to false. Otherwise, we end up with what we are talking about, an infinite loop. So right now we have an infinite loop. We actually could possibly even run it and see how an infinite loop looks. So let's actually print out the day of the month. You know, something like that. Let's print it out, separated by a space. Something like this. Let's save it. Let's compile it. And let's run it. See what happens. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, it's going too fast. It doesn't end. It doesn't end. The numbers are getting bigger. I'm going to have to press Control C to stop it. See, there's my Control C. So we got all the way when the day of the month became something ridiculous like 3,949,196. So the day keeps increasing, but the month doesn't change. It's still 9. This is an infinite loop. We had to press Control C to stop it, right? So how are we going to advance the month? Well, how many days are in September? Off the top of my head, I think there are 30. So when the day of the month, becomes 30, right? When day of the month becomes 30, then what we're going to do is we're going to increase the month, and we are going to, increase the month, and we are going to reset the day of the month to 0. It kind of works 0 because the next time it will be the first, if anything would happen. But right now, we actually don't need to do anything to day of the month. We just need to increase the month, right? So when day of the month would be 30, month would become 10, the condition will be evaluated, will be false, and there'll be something after the loop. Okay, so after the loop, let's just print out the date, or let's just print out Sisyphus out. Okay, something like that. Let's save. Let's clear our console. Let's compile, and let's run. There it is. So we arrived at the while loop when there was 15th of September. Sisyphus rolled the ball again. The day became 16, 17, until it became 30th. We know because we have it here printed out. When the day became 30th, month became 10, condition became false. Everything after the loop got executed, and that was the statement, Sisyphus out. I'm going to stop here, and we're going to analyze next how to use a different kind of loop to save Sisyphus. Thank you for your attention.